You're watching SHOT Show TV. I'm Rachel Kopchak, and I am continuing our live coverage right here from our beautiful TV studio right in the middle of the Sands Expo. And now I am joined by Nick Pinizzotto, and he is the first ever president and CEO of the National Deer Alliance. It's great to be up here with you.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Yes, so you're the first ever president of this organization. How did that get started, and what's it all about?
Sure. So about 3 years ago is when the NDA was sort of founded. And 83% of all hunters identify themselves as deer hunters. Mm-hmm. So that's really the vast majority of all hunters, but yet we did not have a national overarching deer organization, which is kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. So it was actually spurred through a conversation at the Quality Deer Management Association board meeting, and ultimately grew into the National Deer Alliance, which now we serve really as an umbrella group for the three existing deer groups, which would be Quality Deer Management Association, Whitetails Unlimited, and the Mule Deer Foundation. So we really look after all deer in the United States.
Why is it so important to have deer hunters be involved in some kind of conservation association like the NDA?
Well, that's been one of the challenges, is that deer hunters, even though it's 83% of the hunters, they really have not been terribly active. So this is not really the good old days of deer hunting like it used to be. There are a lot of problems, everything from disease, predator management issues. So now is really the time for hunters to be a lot more interested in conservation issues and also deer hunting in general. And that's really going to be our purpose, is to generate that support, that enthusiasm, and so that they can actually participate in the issues and help make a difference in deer hunting on their own as well.
Yeah. So when they do get involved, what's all involved for the hunters, who get involved? What kind of work are they going to be doing to help preserve?
I think the biggest thing for us, because the three existing deer groups that are there, they have very distinct missions, and excuse me, they have a very active membership to work on those missions. But we're going to focus more on policy issues, so that's why our membership is free. We want people to just give us their email address so that we can let them know whenever there are issues out there that they can actually partake in, that they can contact legislators, contact their state wildlife agency, and participate in the process. So we want to make it easy for them to do that, keep them aware of the issues, and engage the deer hunters and get them involved.
Yeah. Now, what's the difference between the NDA and maybe some of the other organizations out there?
So the other organizations have, as I said, very specific missions. So Quality Deer Management Association, for example, is more habitat, land management, trying to grow a certain quality of deer herd, where they don't have the time necessarily to get into the policy stuff as much as they would like, which is another good reason for the NDA. Same thing for Mule Deer Foundation, Whitetails Unlimited. They've got those distinct missions to work specifically on mule deer and habitat, more conservation related, where again, we'll hopefully be able to help them do their missions, or achieve their missions in an even easier, more effective way by taking some of that burden off of them.
Now, when we're talking about conservation, what are we really looking at, like out in the wild right now? What is the deer population like, and what do we need to do to keep it going?
Sure. I'll specifically talk about mule deer because a lot of times they get overlooked, with the whitetail being the poster child.
Of course.
So, mule deer, the habitat, or populations have stabilized, but I don't want people to be confused and think that that's necessarily a good thing, because what they've done is they've stabilized at historic lows.
Oh, wow.
So we need to be able to work on habitat issues in the West in particular, where they face all kinds of issues, from encroachment from development, things like natural gas exploration, these types of things. Mule deer are very sensitive to that. So if we're not trying to work on ways to make, give them the type of habitat that they need, work with decision makers out there, then it's going to be a sad day for the mule deer. So there's one example of where conservation is a critical need for that species.
That's great. And if people want to get involved, where can they go?
Simply go to our website at nationaldeeralliance.com. Again, our membership is free, so just give us your email address. We'll sign you up for a weekly newsletter and keep you informed, and hopefully get you involved and activated in the deer discussion. That's
great. Thank you so much,
Nick.
We appreciate your time. I'm Rachel Kopchak, and you're watching SHOT Show TV.